Hello everyone, it's me, John Lord, and welcome to another edition of JohnnyVlogs. And before we jump into today's topic, I just wanted to share a little accomplishment with you guys. I finished a race this weekend that was super fun called the Monster Dash in St. Paul, Minnesota. There was a bunch of people dressed up in costume. I didn't do a full costume this year. I know you guys are probably disappointed in me, but I did at least wear a Captain America running shirt, so I had a big old Captain America logo on me. But I saw people wearing full-on Captain America outfits out there. A couple people, actually I saw quite a bit of people dressed up as Forrest Gump, which I was kind of surprised. I just haven't seen, I've been to a lot of races, and a lot of races where people wear costumes, but I've never seen so many Forrest Gumps. There was a lot of them out there, but I really enjoyed it. Definitely a great way to enjoy the season, and I'm sure that's a race that I will be doing again. But let's jump into today's topic. I'm filming this on Halloween, so for all of you, I hope you had an awesome Halloween. It's belated Halloween wishes from John today, but we did get some research from one of my favorite researchers, Blue Meanie, and she wanted to look into what is known as spook lights. So let's just jump right in and see what she was able to dig up for us. Spook lights have a number of names in the USA and around the world, whether you call them will-o'-the-wisps, jack-o'-lanterns, min-min lights, or ghost lights. They all seem to be the same thing, a mystery. Very nice writing, Blue Meanie. No one is quite sure what these lights are, although there are some very good theories as to why they happen. Some people think they are headlights, swamp gas, ghosts, and even aliens. There are more technical explanations, like large deposits of quartz crystals causing piezoelectricity, but no one answer seems to fit all occurrences, and there are many occurrences of this worldwide. Sometimes they come with a bit of folklore as a backstory. In many cases, they are tied to Native Americans. In one in particular, there is a Native American ghost trying to find their way home. In another one I can think of, there are two Native Americans that were in love with each other and couldn't be together, so there are lights that represent them. Sometimes it is the ghost of a lost miner, with his lantern bobbing in the distance. I've even heard of one where the light was actually I think it was a decapitated miner, and he was carrying his own head, which was then serving as a lantern. Spooky. But they are literally all over the place. You have what is known as the Marfa Lights, which are located in Texas. Even out here in Minnesota, we have our own version called the Old Brewery Hill Spook Light, which is near Ottawa, Minnesota. There is a bit of a more famous one known as the Joplin Spook Light, which is on the border between southwestern Missouri and northeastern Oklahoma. And this one we're going to dive into a little bit. This one is perhaps the spook light with the most names. It's known as the Joplin Spook Light, the Hornet Spook Light, the Tri-State Spook Light, and the Quapaw Spook Light, also known as the Hollis Light. Some stories date the sighting of this light to as far back as the 1830s or possibly even earlier, saying that the Native Americans being moved along the Trail of Tears first sighted it. This one also has had all the theories thrown at it: headlights, swamp gas, marsh gas, ghosts of young Quapaw lovers looking for each other, that's the one that I mentioned before, in the night, or possibly due to electrical atmospheric changes. There are a lot of videos of the spook light on YouTube. There was a museum for this in the 1960s out there. The videos are very good into going into the history of it, so I'm going to have links for all those down below. You're going to see for a JohnnyVlogs, this one's going to have a ton of links because Blue Meanie did a great job just pulling research from all kinds of places. But in terms of YouTube media, I think this one is probably the most popular. So definitely be sure to check out those down below, including a video that actually goes to debunk it, where a college professor took his team out, and I think they did a pretty good job kind of setting up a situation where they could mimic the light and kind of control the light happening out there. Of course, that leads towards the theory that it is actually light from a traffic source that happens to line up with that road, but If you're more interested in it, I would certainly watch the full video and get the full explanation and see the full demonstration to see if you agree with it matching the other versions of that light that have been recorded. If you happen to live close to Arkansas, there are two ghost lights you can see out there, one called Gurdon and the other called Crossett. Apparently these ones are viewed from railroad tracks. Warning, warning, warning. If you go to view these, please do not be standing on the railroad tracks when you're looking at this. Also for the one, the Spook light on the border of Missouri and Oklahoma, that is viewed from a road, and please be careful if you go out and do this kind of stuff. Don't just park in the middle of the road. Be sure to pull off the road. Leave your parking lights on so other cars can see you, so they don't come running into the back of you. There are certainly some safety considerations if you're going to go out and try to look at these things for yourself. So just put on that good logical thinking cap I know all of you have, and please, please be safe. The Crossett light in Arkansas is said to be that of a rail worker who lost his head in an accident in the early 1900s, but then other people say that they think it's the light of a UFO, and some people have reported having trouble starting their car after witnessing that light. Pretty interesting. And it's not only, I know I've been talking about American locations, but it's really worldwide. There is one in particular in Australia known as the Min Lights of the Outback. The Min Light is named after a small settlement hotel/pub in the outback of Queensland, Australia, although they're also called the Yunta since they are seen throughout Australia, not just in Queensland. The story dates back to legends told by the Aboriginal natives and predate European settlement. The first published sighting dates back to 1838 in a book called 6 Months in South Australia. The lights are said to follow people, disappear, and reappear. Once again, many different theories about what these lights might be: bioluminescence, refraction, or even an optical illusion called Fata Morgana. Does that term sound familiar? That term got a lot of press a few months ago with that whole news story about the floating city above China and the footage that was released around that. Everyone thought that was a Fata Morgana, if I'm recalling correctly. People have said the lights are the spirits of men who were murdered in the hotel of Min. Very interesting. So just to kind of wrap it up, for folklore, the folklore and the science of it, most European folklore explains that these lights are fairies and elemental spirits. Many cultures, including Irish, Latvian, and Lithuanian, believe they mark where a treasure is hidden. They're also called spunkies in the Scottish Highlands. Folklore in Asian countries mostly attribute them to ghosts. In Mexico, they're said to be the light of a bruja, or witch. There are tales associated with them in South America of an ancient serpent that loves to eat eyes. Its light comes from all the eyes it has eaten. Wow. In 1776, Alexander Volta tried to explain the lights as swamp gas interacting with lightning after he discovered methane. He had a few supporters and a few critics. Even to this day, some people may think that's a plausible explanation for the unexplained lights. Swamp gas seems to come up a lot when you look into these stories as a possible explanation. In the 1830s, Major Louis Blesson published his findings after studying the lights at different locations. He observed during daytime that bubbles could be observed rising abundantly from certain water sources. At night, Blesson observed bluish-purple flames in the same areas and concluded that it was connected to the rising gas being ignited. But he did have some trouble recreating his experiment everywhere he went. But he did seem to find that in most places he could find areas where something was coming out of the ground that might be the cause of the mysterious lights. And just to get a little, we'll just go a little nerdy on this. The modern explanation isn't far from what was thought in 1776 and 1830, except we think we have the chemical reaction figured out a little better. Organic decay causing photon emissions are created by the oxidization of phosphine diphosphate and methane. These elements will spontaneously ignite when they meet oxygen. Attempts in the 1980s to recreate these lights in the laboratory failed, and the conclusion was that these were cold flames heated just below their ignition point. It's unknown if these cold flames can occur in nature. So even when we get a technical explanation, it sounds like we're having trouble recreating it in labs there. But, well, what do you guys think? Personally, there's so many occurrences of this happening in so many places. I don't think that one answer is going to nail them all. I have a feeling that one answer is going to apply in some places and it's probably not going to apply in others. Could swamp gas be ignited somewhere? Yeah, I certainly think there's something to that. Could some of these locations truly be just that they're seeing traffic from another roadway somewhere? Yes, I certainly believe that. And the common thing that comes up when that theory is stated is people saying, well, but the history shows that there have been sightings like this that predate cars. That's fine, but those roadways were still probably used as trails for possibly for horses and buggies also had headlights. People seem to forget that for some reason. I've seen many buggies that had gas lamps in position as headlights, and if you are several miles away in the pitch black, I'm pretty sure you're still going to be able to see that light source as long as you have a clear view to it. Now, admittedly, in some of these locations, they're saying, there's a hill in the way. It can't possibly be traffic from the other side of that hill without the light jumping around the hill. So that's why I say I truly think that it's going to be different explanations for these different occurrences. But let us know, have you gone to look at these lights for yourself? Do you know of other locations, places maybe close to where you live, where there are similar light phenomena like this happening? Drop it in the comments below, share it with the rest of us. Maybe we should do an outing at some point where we all go out and try to see these lights together. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, man, I would love to be able to do stuff like that. Keep growing, channel. Keep growing. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on this edition of Johnny Vlogs. I hope you're having a great week. I'll catch you on the next show on the Lord and Arts channel.